This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming your way on today's show, another mock draft in the lead up to Thursday, June 23rd, and the NBA draft taking place then. We're going to react on today's show to Kevin O'Connor's latest NBA mock draft on The Ringer. A big reason why I wanted to focus on his specifically, had some really good reporting as far as some of the draft selections that could take place and some of the movement as well. We'll unpack all of it on today's show. But first, as I said, NBA draft coming your way on Thursday, June 23rd, and Chat Sports will be live for every single pick and both rounds. Myself and Harrison Graham, I've been diving into the tape, doing a lot of research and scouting on these prospects. Cannot wait to relay all of my thoughts and opinions on each of the prospects that do get drafted. So make sure you subscribe and join us so that our hard work pays off by hitting that red subscribe button down below or plug in that link, youtube.com/chatsportstv. So Kevin O'Connor's latest mock draft, it goes as such, and there's been some switches for him. Originally, he did not have Jabari Smith going number 1 overall to the Orlando Magic. That is his pick right now, about a week and change outside of the draft. And he said this: while Chet Holmgren has his supporters in the Magic front office, Smith provides a type of defensive versatility and shot making the Magic roster sorely lacks. Even though his ability to create is unproven, he'd be joining a team with ball handlers who need a target now. While he's thriving off ball, he can still work on his dribbling to hopefully soon become a player who can run the show late in the fourth quarter, and at a minimum, he's a potential all-defensive team guy who can shoot over 40% from three. If he improves his handle, he could become one of the best players in the league. And real quick on Jabari Smith, number 1 player on my big board. I love his athleticism. He shot north of 40% from distance last year, and the word is that this guy always gets in the lab, works tirelessly on his game. And if there's one thing you can improve upon going to the NBA level, it's your handle. That comes with reps, that comes with training, and I think Jabari Smith is going to put in the necessary work. At number 2 to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a really intriguing selection in Chet Holmgren out of Gonzaga. I have serious concerns about his body type and how he's going to be able to add muscle over time, but last year, around 4 blocks per night, shot just shy of 40% from beyond the arc, and for a 7-footer to do that with a handle and a pull-up shot, man, he is a tantalizing prospect. Again, I just worry about the body. I really do like Paolo Banchero, and I've been flirting with having him as a top player in my draft class. I'm going Smith 1, Paolo Banchero 2. I think he's going to have the ability to impact the game in a variety of ways. Has to be better defensively, but as a passer, as a big guy who can put the ball on the floor, pass from the high post, shoot the three, and also create for himself with a little spin move and some good footwork down low. A great addition alongside Jalen Green, who the last couple of months of last year during his rookie campaign was fantastic. A surpriser here, Keegan Murray, the forward and center out of Iowa, going to the Sacramento Kings. There's been some rumblings that the Kings are going to look to trade out of this selection. Keegan Murray, I think, is one of the more pro-ready players in this draft class, a big guy who can shoot the basketball and basically do everything. I wouldn't say he's great in one area, even though his scoring production at Iowa was really impressive last year. He was asked to basically do everything for Iowa, and he did that with a lot of success. I want to focus on Jaden Ivey here at number 5 because I think the Sacramento Kings would be foolish to pass up on him. You're looking at Sacramento and you're like, okay, they traded away Tyrese Halliburton. Doesn't make sense to pair up De'Aaron Fox with Jaden Ivey because after the trade of Tyrese Halliburton, you're looking at De'Aaron Fox, a guy who averaged around 28 points per game after the trade of Halliburton. But with Jaden Ivey going to the Detroit Pistons, I want it to happen because him pairing up with Cade Cunningham would be just an incredible backcourt duo for Detroit and make them an upstart team in the Eastern Conference. O'Connor on Jaden Ivey. League sources say the Pistons are interested in Cavaliers restricted free agent Colin Sexton. Kind of a juicy nugget there, but the draft could fill their backcourt needs before free agency even begins. Ivey would give Cade another shot creator to work with and possibly form one of the most exciting backcourts in the league. And as an athlete, Ivey does remind me of a less athletic Ja Morant, drawing some comparisons to Donovan Mitchell. And if you get him there at number 5, I think that's really, really good value. His jump from his freshman season to his sophomore campaign was very impressive. I want to ask you this question, and this is our poll question of today's mock draft roundup. Who's going to go number 1 in the NBA draft? I want you to look into your crystal ball and predict it. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, use it to your advantage. Scroll on down, drop a name, and by the time you do that, we'll be back breaking down this draft. At number 6, it's Shaedon Sharpe, the guard out of Kentucky, who actually never played for Kentucky, and because of that, one of the biggest wild cards in this draft. Now, if he played at Kentucky, he could have gone number 1, but the lack of film on him is a little bit concerning. Number 1 recruit in the 2021 class after he reclassified, being an early enrollee, never did play. Going from his junior season to his senior season, he sprouted from 6'4" to 6'6", and his scoring ability and athleticism that goes with it reminds me a lot of Bradley Beal and the aforementioned Jalen Green. He's an above-the-rim athlete who can sky, and because of that athleticism and him having that bounce, he can get his shot off from anywhere on the floor, given his size at 6'6", and he can get a bucket from anywhere, and he's not scared to get a bucket from anywhere. At number 7 to the Portland Trail Blazers, it's Dyson Daniels out of the G League Ignite. I like his game. I like how some of the elements of it translate to the NBA level. I worry about the shot and the lack of efficiency. Benedict Mathurin going number 8 to the New Orleans Pelicans, I think would be a great situation for him, considering the foundational pieces that they have there in New Orleans as one of the top upstart teams in the league. When we're talking baseline to baseline athletes and a guy who has a pretty fascinating story growing up in Canada, dealing with some adversity, I love the mental makeup of Benedict Mathurin. I love the game, and for me, he's a top 5 prospect. Ousmane Dieng out of the New Zealand Breakers, the Frenchman, going number 9 to the San Antonio Spurs. They've been rumored to be in on some big men, as we're about to talk about. Dieng reminds me and a lot of other people of Brandon Ingram because of his incredible length, but his shooting percentages and his shooting splits last year with the New Zealand Breakers playing in the very competitive NBL were not good for the teenager. At number 10, the Washington Wizards going with the Jimmy Butler type of clone in A.J. Griffin. I like how he balls out. He did disappear at times last year on a loaded Duke team. The ankle and knee injuries causing him to miss 2 years of high school basketball, a big concern for a lot of NBA draft evaluators. Speaking of the NBA draft, obviously our content on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, very draft heavy. I want to hear from you. Which is better? Is it the draft or is it free agency? Both pop off. Both are intriguing. Type D for draft, FA for free agency. Chime in into the comment section right now. At number 11, the New York Knicks going with Jalen Duren, the center out of Memphis. A lot of rumblings that San Antonio is in on Duren. We'll see which route they go. They do want a big man, and they need a big man. Jeremy Sohan, one of my favorite players in this draft class, going number 12 out of Baylor. Reminds me of Ben Simmons, because if Ben Simmons were to play 4, that would be what Jeremy Sohan would be like. He can impact the game outside of scoring in a Draymond Green fashion, and I really do like his overall nature to his game. Ochai Ogbaji out of Kansas going to the Charlotte Hornets at number 13, a monumental jump going into the senior year where Kansas won the national championship game. Dropping on this draft board is Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin, best scorer in terms of points per game last year in college basketball, going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Can you imagine Johnny Davis, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro, some of the other pieces on that roster? Cleveland Cavaliers, look out. Charlotte Hornets with another selection at 15, just outside the draft lottery. Mark Williams, the center out of Duke. This Duke team, we're going to look back on it in a couple of years and say, this Duke team, they were unreal. They made that deep run into the NCAA tournament in Coach K's farewell year, but my goodness, should they have won the national championship with all that talent? Maybe. As for Johnny Davis last year, 20 points per game, best bucket getter in college basketball in my opinion, 8 rebounds per, has to get better as a consistent shooter, less than 43% from the field, only 30.5% from downtown. As for Ogbaji, his improvements, man, they were really, really impressive. 2 years ago, 14 points per game. You look at the shooting numbers, less than 38% from beyond the arc, 69% from the free throw line. Those figures went up all across the board. Final season at Kansas, nearly 19 points per game, 47.5% field goal shooter, almost 41% from distance, and 74% from the free throw line. I think he will be able to get a lot of burn from the get-go. At number 16 to the Atlanta Hawks, it's Tari Eason, the forward out of LSU. Malakai Branham, guard out of Ohio State. rising up draft boards in the lead up to the draft, going number 17 to the Houston Rockets. O'Connor with some reporting on him. Branham, such a smooth scoring guard that Jalen Green would be forced to excel even more off ball following the Banchero selection because they'd be a bit undersized as a backcourt duo. Perhaps Branham would be best served beginning his career as a six-man like Tyler Hero has done with Miami. Malakai Branham as well as Paolo Banchero, nice little haul there for the Houston Rockets. I love what they did in the draft last year. At number 18, another draft riser in E.J. Liddell out of Ohio State, another player who benefited going back to college basketball. For those of you who are trying to get to the NBA, my recommendation for you, go to college basketball, and if people are telling you to return and work on your game like an E.J. Liddell and Ogbaji or some of the other players that we're talking about on today's show. Number 19, Ty Washington. His point guard smarts really impressive. Think that he could be a Ricky Rubio type of player and a very good backup point guard early in his career for another upstart team in the NBA in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here we go. This is where things get interesting. First international prospect off the board, truly. I know Jang was in there a little bit earlier, but Nikola Jovic out of Mega, the guard. Excellent size at 6'10" when I scout him. He's long and athletic. What he lacks in athletic explosiveness, he's able to make up for it with really good contested shot-making ability. Has a solid shooting stroke and a really good feel for the game. His basketball IQ is phenomenal. So speaking of him, I segue to this question. Who is the best international prospect in the draft? Is it him? Is it a player like Kai Sotto? Let me know in the comment section right now. I know a lot of you are big fans of Kai Sotto. Couple more selections to get to. Number 21, Jalen Williams, the forward out of Santa Clara, a guy who also made some monumental improvements throughout this past year. Bryce McGowan's out of Nebraska going number 22 to the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, by the way, one of the best organizations at identifying and developing talent. Number 23, Blake Wesley, guard from Notre Dame. During his freshman year, he wowed you at times. Other times, he made some really head-scratching plays. This was originally the Brooklyn Nets selection. They deferred it back to the Philadelphia 76ers, that draft compensation, as part of the James Harden and Ben Simmons deal. At number 24, Walker Kessler, the center out of Auburn, Defensive Player of the Year last year in college basketball, was just a tremendous shot blocker. And you have to figure, okay, at some point, we need a legitimate backup center to replace Lopez at whatever point, right? Walker Kessler can be that guy moving ahead into the future. Another good get for the San Antonio Spurs is Jaden Hardy, and it's another player from the G League. Jaden Hardy, pretty solid player, but some of these G League guys, like I worry about the competition level in the G League level. I'd rather a guy go to college basketball because I think the competition level can be better, even though you're not going up against pros. Atmospheres are a big thing for me, and I think you get better coaching at the college ranks as well. Dalen Terry, another guard out of Arizona, going to the Mavs at number 26. Kennedy Chandler is a player who I really like out of Kentucky, going to the Miami Heat at 27. And if you go to the Heat, you're basically guaranteed to have a long and successful NBA career. Christian Koloko, center out of Arizona. That's the third Wildcat off the board, going to the Warriors. Maybe this is some James Wiseman insurance, or maybe you let Kevon Looney walk for more money. James Wiseman becomes your starting center, and Koloko could be your backup. Marion Beauchamp out of the G League Ignite going to the Memphis Grizzlies at 29, according to Kevin O'Connor. And Jake LaRavia, forward out of Wake Forest, who following the NBA draft combine and during some of these pre-draft interviews is a guy who a lot of people have been impressed with. He can put his fingerprints on the game in a variety of areas, scoring the basketball, passing it, really good defensive player, and just has an all-rounded game. Him going to the Nuggets makes a lot of sense at number 30. So, what do you think about what Kevin Connor did with his most recent mock? I happen to like it, and make sure you stay tuned here at Chat Sports. We're going to be releasing a couple of mocks throughout this week, including my own mock, and then next week, maybe a full 2-round mock from your boy here. But for now, grade O'Connor's mock A, B, C, D, or F, and get those grades into the comment section right now.